We are. Look, I don't really like the term woke. That said, our primary purpose is to entertain. And where we can entertain responsibly, obviously, we try to do that. We try to have a positive impact on the world.
I don't really care about that. What I care about is how she hated the story because it needed to be wokeified, and she hated the fact that there was going to be a Prince Charming of some sort, and they needed to update it.
Disney is another company that's been in hot water. They've been in a downward spiral. When people say woke, what they really mean is they're describing a worldview that hates you. That hates everything America stands for.
And Disney decided to hire the most insufferable girl boss narcissist that exists on Earth, who hates Snow White.
Very few people wanted to see this. Even the little kids who like Disney movies, even they don't seem to be turning up in droves for the movie because the movie is really, really bad.
The night Disney dropped its apology, Burbank might as well have stopped breathing. The whole town froze. It was like the moment the music cuts during a concert and everyone turns around. Disney, yes, Disney, had just publicly admitted their live-action Snow White was a flop. Not just a box office letdown, but a creative disaster. The apology went out to every major news outlet, and it hit harder than anyone expected. No spin, no sugarcoating, just raw truth. They missed the mark on the heart, soul, and timeless wonder that people love about Disney classics. Wall Street was rattled. Social media exploded. And entertainment insiders, they were scrambling to understand how the fairy tale factory fumbled this badly. But those behind the scenes already knew the train had been off the rails for a while. Rumors had been flying since the first table reads. The script felt clunky. The tone was all over the place. It was trying to be modern and nostalgic at the same time, failing at both. Marketing executives, merch teams, and diversity consultants all pulling the story in different directions. The result? A chaotic mess that even seasoned producers couldn't spin into gold. But they still held tight, believing that Disney's name alone could patch the holes. That faith cracked when reshoots dragged deep into the holiday season, forcing everyone back into cold, rushed soundstage forests. Rewrite after rewrite tried to fix things. Too traditional, too woke, too boring, too weird. The team couldn't win. Editors were left stitching scenes together like a broken quilt, and nothing matched. The disaster went public after secret test screenings tanked hard. Audiences were confused. Surveys said viewers hated the awkward pacing, random tone shifts, and sudden emotional moments that felt totally out of place. Normally, Disney would patch up the damage behind the scenes, but this time, the drama went viral. Leaks hit social media faster than editors could cut scenes. YouTubers spilled production tea. Podcasters mocked the chaos. Twitter turned into a war zone. TikTok lit up with creators lip-syncing awkward dialogue and laughing at moments that were supposed to be serious. Every time the studio tried to quietly edit something new, another insider would leak the update, and the internet would blow up again. What should have been behind-the-scenes drama became front-page scandal. Headlines warned that Disney's fairy tale glow was burning out, and right in the middle of the storm, Rachel Zegler, the lead actress and the center of attention. Bold, charming, and totally unapologetic, Zegler stood by the film's bold reimagining of Snow White, saying it was about time the story reflected modern values. Some fans loved her for it, but critics? Oh, they had a field day. One quote at a press event got twisted into a viral soundbite that made it seem like Disney was trying to erase the past just to push a message. Clips of Zegler on panels were chopped, remixed, and plastered with outrageous captions. The internet turned her into either a hero for change or the villain of the remake era. The media, always thirsty for drama, ran wild. Then came the most insane twist. An unverified rumor that Rachel Zegler had been detained backstage after clashing with critics. No proof, no photos, no police report, but that didn't matter. Fake screenshots started floating around. The rumor spread like wildfire. People didn't care if it was true. It fit the chaotic narrative too perfectly. Soon, the hashtag #Snow White scandal was trending worldwide, leaving Disney's official promo tags in the dust. Even though Disney and Zegler's reps denied the story over and over, the rumor had legs. It became another layer in the cursed saga of this film. Behind the scenes, Disney's crisis response team went into overdrive. Internal alerts were popping up nonstop. Brand trust was plummeting, especially among families, their core audience. Boycott hashtags were going viral. TikTok and YouTube were flooded with breakdown videos picking apart every mistake, every glitch, every PR misstep. And at that point, the executives weren't even talking about ticket sales anymore. The conversation had shifted to damage control. Disney's image was on the line. CEO Bob Iger personally stepped in. Emergency meetings were happening back to back, stretching late into the night. Legal teams, finance officers, publicists, directors, everyone was called in. The burning question was no longer, can we fix the movie? It was, can we save the brand? The answer came in the form of a brutal internal report. It compared audience reactions from previous remakes. The Lion King, 2019, still pulled crowds because of its stunning visuals. Mulan, 2020, barely dodged disaster thanks to cultural depth. But Snow White? It had the worst trust drop Disney had ever seen. The summary was harsh. Any earnings would be crushed by the damage to Disney's image. The recommendation? Pull the plug. Strategic withdrawal. And that's when Disney made the historic move. They drafted a rare, full-blown apology and paused all upcoming live-action remakes. But crafting that apology wasn't simple. It had to be real, but not weak. Humble, but not like they were giving up. Every sentence was chosen like it carried the fate of the studio. They finally landed on this. They admitted that some of their creative choices had strayed from what made Snow White special in the first place. They thanked fans for speaking up and promised to be more thoughtful about how they honor their legacy. No blaming, no finger-pointing, just accountability. They called it a group misstep, admitting that sometimes even a whole team can miss the mark. When that apology hit, Burbank changed. The usual morning buzz was replaced with stunned silence. Studio workers stared at their phones, scrolling through headlines as LED signs blared the news above the streets. Some looked relieved, others shaken. The fallout wasn't just about one movie. It was about what it meant for every project still in development. Reboot teams behind The Hunchback of Notre Dame and even a rumored Atlantis remake were suddenly on hold. Stop work orders started flying out. Artists, costume designers, and writers who had been pouring their hearts into future updates were left hanging. It wasn't COVID. It wasn't a strike. This time, backlash from the audience had shut the whole thing down. Online, fans split into factions. Die-hard Disney lovers called it a win, saying the classics shouldn't be touched. Others, more forward-thinking, felt robbed of a chance to retell stories through a modern lens. And then there were the silent majority, people who just wanted Disney to try something new for once. But through all the chaos, one thing stood out. Disney owned it. They didn't pretend the problem didn't exist. They didn't hide behind a glossy PR wall. In a world where companies often ghost their messes, this apology actually felt real, refreshing even. Still, that one bold move opened the door to 1,000 new questions. Back in the real world, Disney's theme parks were scrambling behind the scenes like never before. Anything tied to the Snow White remake? Gone. Holiday promotions vanished overnight. Merch shipments with the film's updated branding got quietly rerouted to warehouses, and teams rushed to swap out anything new with tributes to the 1937 classic. The message? Let's pretend this never happened. PR teams went into overdrive to protect the brand's sparkle. Park employees were coached to give polished, feel-good answers to any guests asking about the controversy. The golden rule? Remind everyone that Disney still represents magic and inclusivity, no matter what the internet is screaming. Behind the curtain, Disney's parks act like the pulse of the entire company. If families start losing that warm, nostalgic feeling, the ripple effect could go far beyond a single movie. And freezing those live-action projects? It came at a steep price. We're talking hundreds of millions in sunken production costs, actor contracts, creative budgets, and supply chain commitments. But for the execs, saving Disney's core brand, the part loved by generations, was worth every dollar. Top brass wanted to show they weren't out of touch, that they could listen. Investors, watching with eagle eyes, took note. In today's entertainment landscape, flexibility is gold. Across the Burbank campus, young animators animators stayed after hours, huddling in break rooms and brainstorming again. Some were excited. Maybe this was the moment Disney would greenlight bold, new stories told through fresh, diverse lenses. Others hoped for something even more nostalgic, a return to the hand-drawn magic that defined Disney's golden era, this time blended with cutting-edge tech. The vibe wasn't doom and gloom. It was hunger. An aching to break the formula, to create something daring and surprising again. Film critics and culture writers immediately grabbed hold of Disney's apology and turned it into a teachable moment. One writer nailed it with a metaphor: classic stories are like heirloom jewelry. You can polish them or reset the stones, but if you swap out the entire gem, the soul gets lost. Another clapped back, arguing that storytelling is meant to evolve, that even Shakespeare flipped fairy tales on their heads. The truth? There's no easy answer. Balancing tradition with progress isn't a glitch, it's an eternal conversation. And as for Snow White, the release is still happening, but without the confetti. Gone are the bold banners and in-your-face promos. Instead, the tone has shifted. Trailers now highlight the beautiful visuals and lush orchestral score, trying to win back hearts through elegance, not controversy. Insiders say Disney is tiptoeing forward, starting with small international premieres. If those quietly flop, expect the movie to slip straight to streaming, where niche viewers and curious fans sometimes give flops a second life. And hey, we've seen weirder redemption arcs. Online, fans did what fans do best: remix the drama. Mashups popped up all over TikTok and YouTube, blending shots from the live-action trailer with scenes from the animated original. Some edits were full of nostalgia, others were hilarious, sarcastic takes calling it the apology heard round the kingdom. It wasn't just trolling, it was proof that fans care, that they're invested. And when audiences remix your flop into folklore, it means you've hit a nerve. Now, Disney's challenge is clear: turn that energy into something beautiful, not alienating. Even longtime Disney historians weighed in, pointing to Walt Disney's original mantra. He believed storytelling was about emotion, not chasing trends. Walt didn't care about what was cool. He cared about what was timeless. That's why this pause on remakes might be the smartest move Disney's made in years. It's not a retreat, it's a reset. Less flash. More heart, leading with purpose, not spectacle. Whether that mindset sticks depends on what happens when the headlines fade and the shareholders come knocking, asking, what happened to our billions in reboot cash? Outside of Disney HQ, the impact was seismic. Independent filmmakers who've long called out Hollywood's obsession with safe bets felt vindicated. This disaster proved what they've been saying for years: stop clinging to old IPs, start telling new stories. Festivals, streamers, and studios outside the Mouse House started seeing an opportunity. The audience was hungry for something new, something untouched by franchise fatigue. Suddenly, smaller films were finding their moment. Publishers noticed too. Licensing chatter spiked for comics, books, and games built around original fairy tales. Even school theater directors reached out to Disney's stage division asking for more freedom to reimagine their shows, less pressure, more creativity. And just like that, a creative movement began. When the giant stumbles, others get a chance to rise. For families who grew up whispering, "Mirror, mirror on the wall," the apology was bittersweet. Some parents were relieved to see Disney finally pause and reflect. Others worried their kids might miss out on seeing strong, updated heroines on the big screen. Suddenly, dinner tables became debate clubs. People were asking real questions. What makes a story timeless? Can you update a tale without losing its meaning? Is it better to reimagine old legends or create new ones from scratch? It was chaos, but it also sparked genuine intergenerational conversation, a rare silver lining. Even media ethics professors got in on the action, dissecting every sentence of Disney's apology. The company had to walk a fine line, show remorse without opening the door to lawsuits. That one phrase, creative choices that distracted from the heart of the tale, became a case study in smooth corporate speak. It was subtle, almost poetic, a way to acknowledge failure without pointing fingers. Whether it was a heartfelt apology or PR magic, the experts agreed. It worked. And then came the rumors of what's next. With remake plans scrapped, whispers of brand new projects began to swirl. One animated epic set across a chain of enchanted islands where music fuels everything. Another, a live-action space adventure with a fearless female explorer navigating uncharted galaxies. No more legacy sequels, no more fairy tale reboots. Just bold, original storytelling. And fans? They were ready for it. Early leaks of concept art caused a quiet buzz. Even after all the drama, people still wanted to believe that Disney had something magical left to give. Analysts predicted a rough patch followed by a slow climb. If Disney can land just one hit, one honest-to-goodness success, the entire narrative could flip. But the stakes are massive. We're talking about thousands of creatives, illustrators, animators, composers, camera crews, costume designers, caterers. This isn't just about brand reputation. It's about real jobs, real dreams. If Disney can turn this mess into a new era of originality, it could become the comeback of the decade. But they need to move fast, before this pause becomes a stall. And as for Bob Iger, that apology cemented a moment in his legacy. Whether you think he had no choice or believe he took the high road, there's no denying he stepped into the fire and faced the backlash head-on. In an industry where silence and spin are the default, Iger's move stood out. When the year in review recaps drop, Snow White won't just be remembered for the drama. It'll symbolize something bigger, a turning point, a moment when Disney, the king of nostalgia, realized it had to grow or risk becoming irrelevant. Only time will tell if this really marks a new chapter. Trends flip fast, but that image, a legendary studio hitting pause, listening, and promising to do better, that's going to stick. And maybe, just maybe, this wild chapter ends with a hopeful beginning. Imagine this. One lone animator sitting under a desk lamp late at night, flipping through pages of old sketches. She stops on a blank sheet. No dwarfs, no poisoned apples, just fresh ideas, wild worlds, magic, reborn. Because if there's one thing Disney knows how to do, it's tell stories that last. And this time, the next chapter might come from somewhere entirely new. If you've made it this far, drop a like, hit subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Was Disney right to pull the plug? Or did they miss their moment? Either way, the drama's not done. See you in the next one.